Once again, it's your friend. I want to welcome you to What They Do.
What They Do. What They Do. What They Do. What They Do.
Now, you know what they do. What they do is a place where we say, what's up, what's popping. It's literally a Miami slang. And again, meaning, what's up, what's going on. And I just think it's the right thing to say when you're coming onto the show. So, first of all, let me just say that this episode is brought to you by Olia. You know, Soca saved me. So just go and check out Olia on the Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, and pick up What Save You, right? Listen, I got my next guest. You know, he's a local guy, based right here in Miami, Florida. He's brought to you Aurora, New Year's Eve, Citrus, Viva la Carnival, Bubbles and Brunch. You know, these I don't know, these parties that are now a staple in Miami. And he's taken the party scene to another level. I want to welcome Devin St. Hilaire. What they do?
I did, right there. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yo, Dev, you know, I got a phone call, right? And because we kind of shook up the internet a little bit. And I got a phone call saying, yo, Dev wanna come on and on. That's something to talk about, right? And the only thing I could guess is that is about the Dominican vibe, and you want to kind of rebut some of the conversation that we had here. But before we do that, Dev, thank you for coming and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So Dev, you're known for some of these parties. You're a very well-established promoter in the soca world, and you know, I don't like the cliche questions, but I do think sometimes that it's important to give the audience a little bit of background. So you know, like just maybe a little bit of who you are and how you got into the promotion game, and then we'll move on to some more exciting conversation.
Sure. You know, it's interesting. We actually look back and this year, 2026, is going to be our 10-year anniversary. So we've been doing this. Well, Radiance is 10 years old. We got into the game a long time ago. Just started with the mass, started with Gen X, and eventually just decided to branch off into just doing events. Fit our niche a little bit better. And just been focused on doing events and festivals in the Western Hemisphere.
Word.
For the last decade.
So you said you started with Gen X. So that's with Greg?
Yeah.
Wow. And so Generation X is a staple in Miami and Miami Carnival, right? It's kind of synonymous with young vibrancy in the Carnival. So I know Greg, you know, interesting. I once modeled costumes for Generation X. I wouldn't imagine doing it today, but I'm also once affiliated with the long-standing Generation X.
No, it's been. I think the South Florida community has been very vibrant for a long time. You know, and Gen X is one of the most longest-standing pillars in the community in South Florida for a long time. So,
what role did you place or did you take with Generation X?
Sure. Well, my wife Maria and I were directors of Generation X at the time, so more or less very much decision making on design, direction, visuals, marketing, operations, travel, expansion. You know, the gambit of things. Assisting in that regard.
And so you guys were also involved with taking Generation X to Jamaica Carnival and these other places?
Actually, no. The only place we took Gen X was Barbados. We did a private section with Crave in 2016. And then we were looking at Jamaica. And that was around the same time that Jamaica had split. There was one band called Bacchanal back then, and it had split into Jamaica, now called Yardmass, well, kind of, and Exodus. And we're like, oh, this is interesting. Like, let's wait and see, which way it goes. And both have been very successful to this date. But we didn't go into Jamaica with Mass. And then we left shortly after. We left Gen X shortly after.
Okay. Staying on the subject of Carnival, right? Another topic that's had some movement on the channel is Miami Carnival.
Okay.
Right? My position has always been that Miami Carnival is the best carnival in North America, hands down.
Okay.
What would you say about Miami Carnival?
I agree with that. We can see that one of the biggest for a long time has been the Labor Day Parade. And today the Labor Day Parade is still very much happening, but it's not something that we hold in the same esteem. As opposed to Miami, we still do very much revel and celebrate Miami Carnival, even though it has its shortcomings and it people complain about the park and what have you. I think that's a two-prong, right? That's a circumstance of where we are and also like a circumstance of how it's being run. I think other things could be tried, other innovations could happen to bring the carnival back, and we can see from my perspective, because we do events here, we can feel the effects of a dwindling carnival
in Miami.
Yes.
So some of the complaints that have been lodged on the show and what I hear in the street is that the carnival is just not where it should be. How do we come? So what needs to be done from your vantage point to bring back the carnival in a space or in a place where it can still bear that flag? Because even though it might be dwindling, it's still to me number one.
Yes. Yes. And number one by a large margin. So that's not to be discounted. But I think the organization of it could deal with some youth, some new and fresh ideas, and not just ideas, but actual execution. There's something to be said about startup kind of energy. You're going to make some mistakes, but you're going to innovate along the way. And right now, I think the way that the carnival is being run is it's just kind of rinse and repeat.
What effect does not having the road do? Is that part of the issue? Because some people would say, yeah, we're on the road, and others would say, no, we're on a road in the park, and that's not good enough.
I think it's somewhat less about the park and more about the lack of spectacle. Like Carnival is supposed to be a spectacle, as I understand it, revelry, a day to just wild out and break some rules, so to speak. It's really hard to break rules when you're inside of a cage fence going through a park. Right? That is the argument. So it needs, that could be improved, I think, in the park setting. But even apart from that, I think there are many opportunities to do it in the road in different parts of Florida. Maybe not in the way that was originally imagined, but it's not that different than you look at something like Viva La Carnival. It started off as a cooler fete in Miami. How? That's not supposed to happen. Big truck, cooler fete in Miami. How are you doing this? It's not easy to do. Especially when you're following the rules and you're getting the right permits and you're involved with the cities and you're trying to uphold the community in a certain stature.
Yeah.
So I think that doing it correct is extremely difficult.
Yeah. So let's talk about Viva La Carnival, Citrus, and some of these Radiance events.
Sure.
Right? What do you do that makes your events stand above the rest? Right? There's no question in my mind, right, that when Radiance is throwing a party in Miami, it's going to be, and this is not because you're here and I'm kind of kissing up to you. Pause. I'm saying that that the events are eventful. It is an event and something to go to.
Yes.
Citrus.
So we first of all, this whole thing kind of took on a different kind of life of its own when my wife and I really started pouring into it. We have two different kind of skill sets that we bring to the table. We like to say, I make them come, she makes them stay.
Pause. Whoa.
Wow. Wow. Why we have to go there?
Whoa. You make that.
I make them come to the event. She makes them stay at the event. Right? And she has a background in hospitality and event management.
Okay.
She comes from a discipline of planning weddings. So basically, if you come to one of our events, it's basically like a wedding reception, more or less. So you come there, and that's why there's so much attention to detail. It's because it does indeed have that feminine touch to the event, you know? So you get in the very direct, in-your-face, loud, kind of masculine promotion, but at the same time, it's very feminine. And then when you come, it's very palatable. And once you come, you're just relaxing and you're having a nice time. Your worries kind of melt away. You live in the moment. You go home. We don't have the kind of event where you want to come to it, stay for a little while and leave. You come and you're going to get stuck there. It's just like, it's very sticky that way.
It's intentional.
It's a vibe, yeah. Everything is intentional. We plan out everything. And the organization happens before the event. That way, during the event, we try to host and just kind of be available and enjoy it. We always say we want to enjoy the events just as much, if not more, than the patrons.
Yeah. What I recognize with what I've been recognizing with Miami and the Miami party scene is that, for lack of better words, it's whack. Right? There's one group of promoters who kind of have a lock on maybe the younger crowd, right? And they're going and people have a good time. But then if you're above, I don't know, 30, there isn't much, at least from my vantage point, for you to enjoy here, right? At least anymore, right?
Yeah.
Why? Like, do you agree? And if you do agree, why is that the case? What's going on in Miami where, like, you know?
Boy, this is something that is being discussed a lot, you know. So there are many different schools of thought on this, but one of the things that I do believe is that it wasn't always like this. This is a kind of post-COVID situation. We had a lot more vibes before COVID. And when you look at it objectively, COVID changed this market significantly. A lot of the promoters that existed before COVID, like we mentioned, Gregory Anthony, doesn't do anything anymore. All of that whole era, like Colin Larson and these guys, like they stopped doing events. All of those things are stopped now. And some of the promoters, rest in peace, Marlon Whiteman, actually passed away.
Yeah.
So what you found is like, after COVID, it's like I woke up one morning and I was like, whoa, like I'm one of the top promoters in Miami. All of a sudden, it was a heavy weight to kind of adjust to. And still adjusting, you know, there's different avenues, different lanes. And even now, like we still have our planning and strategizing and we try to think of like what we want to do to expand or evolve. And sometimes it's like, no, we need to stay in our lane. Like somebody else has that lane. We can't just fill the void of all the events that are missing. You know, somebody else will have to do that. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it continues to evolve.
So you're
So
saying
there's a gap.
there is a gap.
There's
So it's not like in my imagination.
Well, we can't take for granted. We lost 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? And this is not the Caribbean where we have like a solid culture. We're going to meet up with each other in certain established places.
Yeah, but Dev, it's 2026, right? COVID is 2022. 2020?
We don't have stability. And if you look at our venues even, like think about where you were partying in 2022 versus where we're partying now. Completely different spaces.
Yeah.
You know, some of the spaces that we grew up in are gone. So if you go to Trinidad now, for example, you know exactly the 5 venues that are going to be swinging. The 5 restaurants, the 5 pubs, the 5 bars where people are going to be.
Yeah.
You look at Jamaica, Dominica, Antigua, St. Lucia, Barbados. If you go Barbados, you have to go, you know, Oysters. You go to Dominica, you go St. Lucia, you have these places that you just know are the hot spots. Where is the hot spot in Miami? It's evolving. So now there's a couple of weekly events that are doing really well. And people just know on a Wednesday you do this. Sinister has his Wednesday. He's filled that void. And if it wasn't for him creating his own space, where would he be playing right now? You know, he needed to create that. Nobody was hiring him. Those guys stopped doing events.
I hear you, but I just don't like the COVID excuse.
Well, that's one thing, right? The other thing is the culture here is changing, right? And the culture in Miami has always been kind of somewhat about freeness.
And so we're not free again?
No, freeness, like, just we don't want to pay. We just
Oh,
want,
yeah.
we
But
just want
that's
free.
the culture in the that's the Caribbean culture. That's just not Miami culture.
It's more prevalent here.
Yeah.
It's more prevalent here. Like if you look in other cultures, people are more often to paying. And part of the reason for that here is in South Florida, we have a very service-oriented culture. So people who live here work here, or just don't work here, right? But you don't find a lot of people here who have careers. It's a big problem. It's a big kind of difference. Not a problem per se, but it's a difference in how this economy functions. You look at New York, people are financial advisors, lawyers, in some kind of service industry, consulting, etc. They have six-figure salaries, most people. Whereas in Florida, you find a lot of people still have roommates and they work in service industry supporting people and the tourism that's happening here.
And so
there's just less money circulating here. So that's why you would always see, even in like Miami Carnival, they say New York runs Miami Carnival. People come from New York to come here for Carnival. And this year, we saw a big decline in that, actually, because a lot of the people who typically would travel here, but it's like, no, the state is too red. There's too much ice. I don't want to mess with it right now. So, like, there's that. So, there's a lot of factors going into all of it, right? So, and then that just has a domino effect down the road.
No, speak, talk.
What a lot was happening also was because of the introduction of Tobago Carnival.
Yeah.
That's very close to
Miami
Miami
Carnival.
Carnival.
Yeah.
That has also taken a part away from Miami Carnival.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of the people
Tobago has taken its own
taking a lot of the patrons,
So
like-
just for your FYI, that's Scott Starr, celebrity to the celebrities, on the side here, and he was saying that Tobago Carnival has an impact on Miami Carnival.
Yeah, it could.
It's having an impact on Miami Carnival.
It-
But I ain't really talking about Miami Carnival. Right? I am simply speaking to the events that are taking place in Miami as it relates to a soca event. Once upon a time we had like what's the name of that party we used to go to in Hollywood? Sean Party. Strictly soca. We used to have these events. We used to go by
Community.
these.
There was a sense of community, and right now what you're feeling is a lack of sense of community. Like, where do we go? Like, if you wanted to go somewhere without making a plan with a whole bunch of people, not to a party, where are you going to Lime right now? Where?
Doesn't exist.
Exactly. We don't have a community center.
Yeah.
There's no,
So are you responsible for building that, or are you just like,
But
I'm the
it's something
guy
we
with the
talk
high
about.
caliber party. I have beautiful cups and
Pause.
and I have nice cups and good vibes, and that's what I have to offer.
I definitely think we do our part in trying to elevate the vibes here. When you look at Miami Carnival, there are very few South Florida promoters that are holding the carnival together, event-wise. And even if you look at the bands, quite a good number of the bands are also from out of town. So Florida is kind of the melting pot of some of these things, or the hub of a lot of these connections. But I don't think we kind of are united enough to exploit it the right way.
Yeah, but it's been like that, right? It's been this kind of influx of outside promoters bringing their events to Miami for the carnival, right? But again, I mean, I think that's one animal, and I don't think you can get away from that,
That's everywhere.
right? However, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but going to a party in Miami today, I'm not impressed, right? I'm not impressed, and I feel like it's be the same
What-
DJs.
what we need-
is actually the same party, just a different promoter doing the same party in the same venue.
We need more.
Yeah,
I think the problem is we need more meeting points. More parties, more gatherings, more is more. If there's more of that, there'll be more circulation, more networking, more opportunity, more economic activity.
is there audience for it though? Right?
There's population here, right?
Yeah.
We know that there's population here. Like, every now and then you go out, you're like, wow, where did these people come from? They're there. They're just not being drawn out for some they don't feel compelled to leave.
We were talking about classic just now, and I was saying like, first of all, I mentioned classic in probably almost every episode, and it's because I just think that he's just so dope, right?
Classic is killing it. He's crushing it
And
everywhere right now.
Classics talks about feeding his fan base, right? Feeding them and that being his priority, right? Are we feeding, and I say are we as are you and your colleagues feeding the base here in Miami effectively?
I think we are feeding them, and I think we're all just feeding them different things. And I think just how like you can go to this store and buy like a nutritious meal, you could also go to this store and buy a bag of chips. And some things are just not comparable to others. Now, if you have a culture that's growing on chips, you're not really growing a healthy, sustainable culture, right? But if you have a culture that's grown on nutritious vegetables, well balanced, that could be thriving. So it goes back to what you've discussed on some of your previous podcasts, like how sustainable is this industry? We have to give it the right stuff. And one of the things holding us back, not in Miami in particular, this is a global black people problem, is the crab barrel. And when we talk about things like mafia and some of these other things, really it's the crab barrel. And that is a black people problem.
Yeah, but the pushback to that cliche is, well, crabs don't belong in a barrel, right? And this idea that we're just pulling each other down just because, I think is a non-starter, right?
Agreed, right? But you see that there are other communities. Take for example, right, what's going on with Venezuela. One of the problems why Venezuela is happening is because how like in Trinidad they would joke and say like, let's Douglarize, like they Douglarize in America. Like the Venezuelans are mixing with the Americans. You now have Latino Americans. Latino is a checkbox on your identity. Even as a black man, you have to say non-Latino black, like in America. So that is part of the reason why these things are happening. You look at how they've come from where they are as refugees, quite literally, and they've settled where they've settled. And in Florida, we have two very large Venezuelan settlements. We have Doral, and then you have Weston. Both communities are absolutely thriving. They're thriving. And then you look at some of these black communities and you wonder, well, where's the planning? Where's the urban planning? How are we building our schools? How are we building our hospitals? I'm extremely proud to be, we have Citrus in the city of Miami Gardens. City of Miami Gardens is an all-black city, and they've done quite well for themselves. And they are a net positive city, and they're building massive, massive infrastructure. For example, like the Hard Rock Stadium is in the city of Miami Gardens. They have a lot of really amazing infrastructure. They have Betty T. Ferguson, where we host Citrus in the city of Miami Gardens. So that's a shining example of what can happen if we work together. But the crab barrel is just that we're working against each other, whereas other communities will work with each other to pull themselves out. You see, like if we stop cutting off each other at the leg, pulling, fighting, pushing, like I've done events in other countries where it's, you talk about a fight down, you get some massive fight down. Why we have to fight down like this? I didn't do anything to you. From my perspective, I think that there could be a lot more collaboration. And I think if you look at our track record, you'll see that we're very collaborative and we are very inclusive of many different cultures. So I think that if we are more collaborative, open to ideas that are not ours, we can continue to build on what we have, as opposed to sometimes we're not having the open mind, we're having this kind of short-sighted thing where we can operate like crabs in a barrel. I do this move here when I could have supported you here, and then we could have risen together.
You said something about the community, the black community specifically, and I kind of want to push back.
Okay.
Right, and it's because I don't like the crab in a barrel conversation, right? Because I think it discounts the struggle, and I think it discounts the placement, right? And I mentioned that crabs don't belong in a barrel, and the only reason why they're in the barrel is because they're placed in the barrel, right? They're put there, right? And other communities are not put there, right? Other communities have been giving opportunity that these particular crabs don't get, right? And so I just think that we ought to be careful with the crab in the barrel conversation, because I just think it discounts the struggle that certain communities have within this diaspora that we call.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Miami.
All right, so I
Or
think I think that this could be a much broader, longer conversation. But if you look at persecuted demographics, there are very few demographics that are more persecuted than the Jews. And look at how they are so powerful today, right? Now, I'm not saying that they haven't had opportunity and they don't get opportunity because of many different factors, but there's also quite a significant level of persecution. Jesus Christ was a Jew, and he was nailed to the cross for his beliefs. I'm just saying, like, we have our struggles. Now, I'm not discounting slavery. We all know what that has done to our people. Carnival is a product of slavery, in fact. So, I can accept all of that. All I'm saying is I think that we can be more opportunistic in our
but
in
you
our thought
can't
process.
discount the fact that the Jews also, and I don't want to get canceled here, but the Jews also get reparations here, right? So like
It's about
these
it's about
comparisons-
representation and about pulling each other
Yeah,
up.
but these comparisons that we try to make with other communities, right? The opportunities that they get, our communities specifically, Black communities, no matter where you are within the diaspora, right? Whether you're Afro-Caribbean community or the Afro-American community, right? It's about the opportunities given, and much of those opportunities are not there.
I believe the opportunities do not exist for us because we are not well organized, right? If you look at some of these other diasporas, they represent and they have economic impact with their representation. And if you look at, for example, let's take Miami Carnival, massive multi-week long Caribbean diaspora festival. And we have very few, next to nothing business development partners for that. What I mean is we have no sponsors. You look at some of the biggest events happening year over year, decades these events have been going on. Look at the sponsors listed, who is supporting these events. Who are they? Tell me who they are. Very few. None.
Yeah, but is that because, as you spoke to, is that because of the lack of organization within the Miami Carnival Committee, and not simply?
So I'm not
that
affiliated.
we are crab in a barrel.
So let's take the Miami. Let's not beat up the Miami Carnival Committee for a second. Let's beat up us, for example. You look at Radiance. We have very few sponsors in this market. Big up Caribbean, big up English Harbor Rum, who has been sponsoring us in this market for some time. Now, you would notice that I just named 2 brands from the Caribbean that are sponsoring us here in the United States of America. Can't big up nobody else, really. That's just how it is here. We have the City of Miami Gardens, which I big up earlier. Like, they support us. We support them. Like, these are our supporters. You go to the Caribbean now. If I was to do an event, which, for example, we have 2 events coming up, Viva Dominica and Citrus Trinidad. I have a list of sponsors this long that are lined up to help us with the same product, the same quality in our market, because they recognize our economic pull and our organization in those places. But here in this diaspora, we don't have it, which is why we are treated the way that we're treated and why we don't have what we want. We need to come together and find ways to achieve those things.
I hear you. Let's talk about Viva la Carnival, Dominica.
Sure.
Is it because you're from Dominica, it was just natural for you to take Viva la Carnival to Dominica?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, obviously, it was born here in Miami, but the very next place we went to was Dominica. And, bro, even in Dominica, there was fight down with us. But, like, for example, this is a very real thing, and we see this happening all over. I think for, like, a healthy carnival, clashing is needed. Like, you need to have 2 events at the same time, or multiple events a day. People, just more, like I said before, more is more, right? And when we, in a lot of these places, there's like 1 event per day, 1 event in this time slot, this kind of thing. There's not multiple events happening. Everywhere is not Trinidad, right? Like, it's just a different place. So when we started Viva in Dominica, there was a Calypso show. So it is basically our Trinidad's version of like Soca Monarch. Like we are really into Calypso. That's what's happening. The Bouyon does not have, even till today, representation in an organized format like that. So it is only Calypso show. And then our event was strategically placed before Calypso show for the younger folks. And then we actually ended before Calypso show was over. So people could go over to Calypso show after and so on. And the Calypso show, people were not happy about that. You know, they made it very clear that they were not. And even the venues that we had, they didn't want us to have those venues. They were venues that they had historically used or maybe had an intention of using, but didn't make clear intention, sign contracts, pay deposits, etc. And even when we did it, they were like, nah, this can never work. Viva Dominica can never work. People want to go to Calypso, and this venue that you have is not in an area where you are going to be able to grow this event successfully. I said, well, here's the scene, right? I from here, right? I am, you know, diaspora now. I live in the States or whatever, but I'm from this area. My grandmother lives on that hill. I grew up playing football on the savannah. You know, I'm very comfortable here. So we grew in that space for as long as we could. And, you know, now we've, recently, actually last year, we moved from that space for our 5th anniversary. So we stayed in that space for 4 years, including the years of COVID where we couldn't activate. But we've done well in Dominica to bring that vibe. And Viva Dominica is authentically Dominican. Viva Miami is authentically Miami. And we've done Viva now in other islands. We've done Viva in Jamaica and in St. Lucia. And those events are very well suited to those places as well.
what is that difference, right? That this event,
Yes.
titled Viva la Carnival,
Yes.
right? Unique to Miami.
Yes.
And then you're saying that it's also unique to the Dominican experience is also very much Dominican, right?
Yes.
So what is that bridge that makes it that?
Sure. So in Dominica, the music is predominantly Bouyon
Yeah.
music. And our carnival is different than every other carnival that happens in the Caribbean. And I can say that confidently because I've been to a lot of carnivals all over the world. And ours is different. In fact, most of the Caribbean carnivals, all of the Caribbean carnivals have their own identity and their own music. So you look at Dominica, we have Bouyon. You look at St. Lucia, there's Dennery. You look at Grenada, there's Jab. You look at Barbados with the Bashment. You look at Antigua. You look at Trinidad. Every island has a different flavor of music that they portray while they're doing their reveling. So we have like this perpetuation of like Pan-African or African culture that exists in the islands, that each one is just slightly different but similar. So this is kind of where the concept of one of our new events, No Borders, came from. Is like, you know, when they brought the slaves from Africa, they just dropped us off from the same boat on different islands. We're the same. Trinidad, Dominica, the same. Grenada. How many Grenadians live in Trinidad? How many Trinidadians are Grenadians? Vincentians, Barbadians, Antiguans, etc. We are the same people.
Yeah, that's very true.
Similar but different.
Similar but different. You talked about Calypso,
Yes.
right? And Calypso, the Calypso event, what is it called?
Calypso finals.
Calypso Finals.
Yes.
And saying that it's more like the Soca Monarch in Trinidad.
It is a culturally historical and relevant event for our culture, similar to Pan semis, Pan finals,
But
Soca Monarch, Soca
the
Yes.
music is not necessarily Calypso.
The music, well, in the Calypso finals, it is Calypso music.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
The actual Calypso.
All right.
Yes.
And so what?
Social issues, everything.
Yeah, so how do we go from Calypso to Soca to Bouyon? Right? I had Hypa Hoppa on the show. And he and I had a very lively conversation. It was one of our most trending episodes, right?
Yeah.
And we touched on Bouyon. We ended up on Bouyon, and I said, well, Dominicans say Bouyon is not Soca, right? And he said, well, call what they want, but we consider it Soca, right? And then we went in and we started to joke a little bit. And that got a reaction from many people, right? And I get that we kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit, right? And so
Sure.
this Bouyon thing,
Yes.
I think you could call it what you want, and it could be whatever it is.
Yes.
Because it is something.
Yes.
It is a thing, and it's relevant.
Yes.
Right? But from a larger picture, right, when we're saying that we want to take this music to the world, right? And we want to be a genre, and we want to be this genre-specific thing. Is it taking away from that if we say, nah, that is soca. That is Bouyon. We separate, we over here. I
Right.
mean,
So, I mean, what you're describing, my friend, is crab barrel.
yeah.
Right? That's the same kind of thing. So let's look at it objectively, right?
Sure.
We have Calypso music, which is one of the first kinds of music that resonated with our people across all of the islands. It is their way of expressing social angst, anguish. It's similar to how in America there's hip hop and rap. Like this is how they, express themselves, right? And in each island, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So each island is some derivative of Calypso. Like even if we look at somewhere, one of the things that you and Hypa Hoppa talked about, by the way, Hypa Hoppa is a legend.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a legend walking amongst men. In fact, I would like to take this opportunity to nominate Hypa Hoppa for the Caribbean Music Awards Icon. Let's give Hypa Hoppa his flowers while he's still alive.
That's
because,
what's up.
We don't have to wait until he's old and, the thing that he's scared about, being an old man broke in the bed or whatever. Like, give him his flowers now. He is an icon. He has done so much for our culture. He is one of the pillars that is why we have a Carnival summer. Like Carnival is traveling and trending and our Carnival bubbles and all that stuff is because of Scotch is one of the very founders of that. And I think he's made many inroads in many ways and continues to do so and be innovative today. But anyway, if we're talking about the whole situation and you look at like Trinidad's like so-called dancehall culture and Jamaica's dancehall culture. All right, so let's strip it back from dancehall. Trinidad and Jamaica and Dominica and other islands have Calypso in common. Calypso is the common denominator. All right, so it's like if you look at reggae and you look at ska and some of these other forms of musical expression, they're not the same. They're distinctively different. It's like rap and drill and trap and hip hop. Like they're similar but different. They, evolve in different ways. Now, Bouyon is a derivative of Calypso. Trini Soca. What is the correct name for Trini Soca? by the way?
Soca.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So
Okay, now you look at Bajan, Bashment,
Yeah.
Lucian, Dennery, Grenadian, Jab, right? So you guys are bigger than we are. You are more industrial than we are. You have more population than we do. This is why we talk about like lesser and greater Antilles, right? And this is why, CARICOM has always been somewhat fractured. The small don't want to be ruled by the big and the big don't want to be ruled by the small. We're talking about the same thing, but we have similar background. It all stems from Calypso. Dominica's is different than everybody else's.
But I don't know if you answered my question as it relates to this genre specifically, right? I have a friend who's from the Bahamas,
Okay.
right? And they have a music called Junkanu,
Yes.
and they have Rake and Scrape,
Yes.
right? And I was fortunate enough to be in a session with him, Julian Believe, right? I think one of the top tier artists out of Bahamas. And I was like, yo, this is a vibe. It sound like soca to me, right? And he was like, nah, this is Rake and Scrape, right? It's different.
We don't need to fight that battle. Like,
I'm saying,
what do you
okay.
say? Like, we don't have to die on that hill.
Right.
We all right. Let me.
So
let
why
me,
are we though? Why
Bro,
are
we
why are
don't have a genre. Period. Go in Apple.
doesn't have a genre?
Go in Apple Music and search for
Who doesn't
soca.
have a genre?
Doesn't exist.
Okay, soca doesn't exist.
There's world and there's reggae. We still don't have a genre. We
Yeah.
still don't even have soca.
But this
Far
is what I'm
less-
speaking to.
Exactly, because we are not well organized and moving in one direction.
But that's what I'm asking you about, right?
Right.
Is does setting up these boundaries take away from this effort to try to make this thing a genre? And because now if I can't include Bouyon anything, right? How many people is in Dominica?
Not a lot.
What
Our population
what's
is maybe like 60,000.
60,000. Right? So, but that's 60,000 is still a significant amount of people, right? If I can't include this 60,000 group of listeners, right? And that's just home, and I'm sure there are more across the diaspora. If I can't include you in this number that I'm trying to present to the world, right? Like, you're only hurting Bouyon and soca. I think from my vantage point, unless you're saying that,
Right, so-
we don't want to be to the world.
from
we
my,
want
from
to
my
be
perspective, right,
independent of
there's
that.
no need to fight this battle. Like, this battle is not a relevant battle. I'm Dominican. My pride is that our music is traveling now. right? Our music is being heard, is being appreciated, is being celebrated. I'm for that. I don't really care what you call it. You could call it Rumpelstiltskin. It doesn't matter. All it matters is that you can appreciate this culture and it is making you appreciate my home. That's it.
Yeah, because isn't the fact that Bouyon, right, is has I mean, besides the fact that it's great music, right, isn't part of its relevance today the fact that it's being pushed in the soca party,
Yes.
in the soca dance,
Absolutely.
right?
If it was not being pushed there, it wouldn't be relevant. But at the same time, in the soca dance, there are many other genres that are also accepted and appreciated, such as Afrobeat. For example, such as Amapiano. An African would sit here and tell you Amapiano and Afrobeat are not the same. Does it matter? No, it's music from Africa. You know, so for us, honestly, we should do away with soca.
Yeah,
And
but
we should just have a new genre, Caribbean music.
whoa,
like,
you went too far.
Imagine we just had a Caribbean music, bro.
Whoa. Do away with so. Whoa. Time.
You telling me to put Bouyon on the
Lights
soca is the same thing. Let's make a music that everybody can get behind and push the thing further. What we need is organization and numbers.
Yeah.
Economic power. It's like what we spoke about earlier.
Amen.
I am happy that I'm happy that music from Dominica is playing globally. I don't care what you call it.
Right.
Just know that it's from Dominica. It is a derivative of Africa. We are one.
And we are African.
We are.
Yeah. Okay, I could rock with that. I'm saying the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, bro, Bouyon music is still very young. You know, there's been like 5 inflection points in Bouyon, right? There was the invention of it. There was like the WCK era, which is like they are the pioneers, like we say.
Absolutely.
Right? The next inflection point in Bouyon was Asa Banton and Uber Soca Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
I was there in the background, making sure, like, bro, Asa Banton was supposed to do the all-white party on Uber Soca. This is what I was discussing with the promoters of Uber Soca. And I was like, nah, bro. They're like, yeah, bro, he wants to do macaroni and napkins, and we don't know, like, what I was like, bro, give him the napkin. Give him the macaroni. Give him the powder. Give him the... And he went on that beach in Labadee, Haiti, and flattened the place. And then Asa has been touring ever since. When Asa blew up, the song Asa blew up with, How Do You Come to Our... All of these songs that were 9 years old at that time. Asa's still touring with these songs today, right? When you look at No Borders 2024 and you see all that happening in the air and people losing their mind, these are 20-plus-year-old songs happening right now.
Word.
Like, so I think even like what you were discussing with Hypa Hoppa the other day, like you have to have the hot song, you have to, like, that is really holding us back. We need to start to build on top of what we have, not continue to discard what we have.
Yeah, because I think what he was trying to say is the reason why soca is so hard is because we throw it away, right? We throw away our products, we throw away our artists,
right?
And if you don't come good again next year,
right,
that's a wrap for you,
right? But here what I'm saying, right? Step 3 is Asa, right? Step 4 after that, Marshall Montano, Family with Bungie and Skinny. That's a Bouyon song from a Bouyon producer named Dada from Dominica. And they were very authentic and intentional about how they produced that song and how they performed it. And, you know, one of the things that held back Family is like the song was so big. It had Marshall and Bungie and Skinny. That's a very expensive bill to have this one song performed on your stage. But they came together anyway and they made it happen. This is a clear example of taking down these boundaries, supporting each other. And as we know, Marshall and Bungie were not getting along for a long time until they had the stick. And then now they come with this, and you can see the result of their collaboration versus their competition. So that is, you know, another clear example of that. Marshall is the 4th inflection point in Bouyon. The 5th one is by this guy named Ridge. And this guy who's, you know, we call them paras, like the guys who homeless, doing drugs on the street or whatever, like trying to get their life together, slipping, sliding. Suki. They had this song, Push It In Your Pussy, and all these things coming from there. Like they have like all these very raw musics coming out. Sorry, Push It In Your Pussy was Kenny G. But like gripping, and all these things. Like that was, and then from there you go to someone else, which is last year. So Bouyon is still very new, very fresh. It is not strange that people who are not familiar with the history of this would be confused about like what it is and where it comes from, because they just don't know.
The song that took over Miami Carnival was I Hope You Find Someone Else.
Someone else was pushed. That was a massive song in last year. Took over lots of airwaves, had millions of streams before it even was ever performed on any prominent stages.
Before you know it's Trinidad.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, right?
Someone else, sure.
The circuit, right?
The Carnival, like this is the same circuit that you guys spoke about.
Yeah, this circuit.
The circuit is
and
real.
having to touch Trinidad.
The circuit is
right?
the circuit can be real.
Is that a factual thing, or are we in a space now where you don't necessarily have to go Trinidad to bus, right? You can bus outside of Trinidad because the market is so much bigger.
You can, but you will be unknown in this market. There's very few that can cross over in that way. So, Clem spoke about this a little bit. How in Trinidad your price is X.
You know, I like the way you know some of these things.
I've been following it. I've been watching this show.
That's what's up.
You know, big up Clem. Talking about how your price is X in Trinidad and it's Y overseas. You know, well, sorry, your price is X in Trinidad. Your price is also X in the US. It's the same price, but there's a currency multiplier. It is preventing the songs from traveling the way that they're supposed to travel. Right? So let me give you a clear example. Someone Else. One of the reasons that Someone Else is not trending anymore is not because it's not hot anymore. I think we've seen several examples of some songs that can transcend time. Palance, they want to fight down the Palance. Palance not going nowhere. They want to fight down Turn Me On by Kevin Little. Kevin Little, objectively, is a much bigger artist on planet Earth than Marshall Montano. Now, this is not a fun thing to say. This is a hot topic. People will lose their minds over this. Like, whoa, what are you talking about? Go look up the streams. Kevin Little is streaming millions of times per month. Marshall Montano is not streaming a million times per month.
I don't think you said anything wrong there.
This is a fact. So, you know, I think like Someone Else had a trajectory like that because it had a
Kevin Little sat right there and said, one hit where? One hit right there where you said, one hit where?
You know, you could say it's one song or I have one hit, but one hit where? One hit where? Where do I have one hit? Think about it.
I don't say that.
No, but people say that, but
Yeah.
where? Where do I have one hit?
Yeah.
I think Kevin Little had a lot of music, but he never had another Turn Me On. Nobody has. I think that there's been lots of one-hit wonders. Kevin Little is a one-hit wonder. He's had lots of other music that has been played, that will be played, but nothing like Turn Me On. Not even close.
Yeah, but I ain't trying to stick here, but is it fair to say to this one hit? First of all, you know how
Nothing
hard it
wrong
is
with you. Only need one hit
to get a hit.
You only need
but
one hit.
The one hit wonder title is a derogatory title that we use to say, ain't that big.
No, Kevin Little is huge.
Yeah.
I'm coming here to tell you today that Kevin Little, I'm proud
Okay.
of Kevin Little. Kevin
right,
Little is
just
from
wanna
a
be clear.
small island, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he's done wonders of putting his place on the map
Okay.
with his song.
Okay, great.
Period.
That's what I want.
End of story. No, of course, bro, I'm here to celebrate our culture.
Yeah.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So, also, I'm here to celebrate culture that's not just from one place. I'm here to celebrate Caribbean
Sure.
culture. Right, so that's what it is.
Yeah, I think I don't think that I disagree. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that your Dominican friends, family, supporters, home is gonna be disappointed with what you said about Dominican music and Dominican and Bouyon Dominican culture?
Maybe, but I'm not known to be politically correct. I say what I believe, and I might be wrong, right? But if I know something, I speak about it. If I don't know, I always fall back. But I feel strongly that, you know, if we unite as a music, as a unit, as a movement, we will be much more successful than if we try to individualize. Like, we don't need to say, oh, I'm from Dominica, oh, I'm from, you know, like, look at, here's an example, right? Bouyon music is trending because of other places that have taken Bouyon music as their own. St. Martin plays a lot of Bouyon music. One of the springboards of Bouyon music is St. Lucia for St. Lucia Carnival. A lot of the big Bouyon songs bust in St. Lucia. There are no, at the time when that was happening, in the earlies, there were no Dominican artists performing in St. Lucia. There still are no Dominican DJs performing in St. Lucia for Carnival. Last year, I flew from Dominica, a Dominican DJ, to St. Lucia for Carnival. I flew a band from Dominica to St. Lucia because their songs are playing. People want to see them, they want to experience them, but they're not getting the opportunity to do that. Right? So the music is traveling even without that happening. It's just naturally finding its own kind of footing.
Yeah.
You know, just like it's playing in Trinidad. So in the case of this circuit and all these things that we talk about, and is it possible to trend without it? It is, but you'll be trending in a different direction. Like one of the biggest Bouyon songs out right now is from this artist from Guadeloupe, not Dominica. His name is 1T1. And he had Boué, as my money is my best friend. Like this guy has some of the biggest songs out right now. And he's not been to Trinidad. He's not been to St. Lucia for Carnival. He's not been to Grenada for Carnival. All of these places, his music is trending. One of the reasons I haven't booked him yet is because our market is not accepting of him enough to book him in a proper way like that. His price is very expensive. And he's trending and he's playing throughout the Lesser Antilles and in Europe, where he's been celebrated. So, you know, it's possible. And they have no intention. Let's look at someone else, right? So we talk about this, you should take the Trinidad path. These guys were actually on two paths, and that's one of the reasons why they broke up internally. Not necessarily because they didn't start off liking each other, but because they came to not like each other because they just chose different paths for themselves, like you said. So here's what happened, right? I sat these guys down. Little Boy, Quan, Trilogy. Listen, guys, you all need to go to Trinidad. I'll set up a media tour for you. Go there, do it. Make the music trend. It's already trending. Let them see your faces. Let them become familiar with you. Like, that's just how that works. And get on some shows and so on. Move there for a month. Travel. Network. Make new music. Do all of the things that are happening in Trinidad for the Carnival season after the Soca switch, which happens when you'll force Trinidadians to listen to Soca because they don't want them to listen to dancehall no more, right? That is a reality of where the dancehall culture that Hypa Hoppa was speaking about is at. Anyway, they did the media tour, and then they started getting some booking opportunities. Now, these guys are accustomed getting 25, 3,000, 4,000, whatever US per person for all of their performances. They come to Trinidad now, they're getting that to split in 3 in TT. They're like, nah, you go.
Making no sense.
You go, I stay home. Like, I will deal with what I'm doing. Like, I getting paid to show up, per diem, car, accommodation, pick up from the airport, lobster. Like, I'm living on the island. I'm going to the beach. I'm drinking calic or whatever. Like, I'm having a great time.
Living my best life.
Yeah, so these guys decided to not trend in Trinidad. And then Trilogy decided to take the route of, I'm going to Trinidad and making it happen. Now, today, I think you can see the disparity in Trilogy's international popularity versus theirs, because he went in the circuit. He went from Trinidad, boom, New York, Miami, came back around, did all the other islands in between, foreign, etc. But he also was in a position where he had his paperwork and all that stuff. So you look at it objectively, is one better than the other? No, they had two different paths, right? One have more fame, one potentially have more money. Hopefully the more fame will bring more money, but you crossing your fingers, you don't really know. So this is kind of the reality of the disparity in a situation where you can be big outside of Trinidad and you can be big going that kind of Trini route.
Okay. I was a little bit disappointed in what you said just now. Only from a selfish position, right?
Okay.
Because it never set up no tour for me. Right? And you know me a long time, and you know, it floored me just now when you said that you set up a tour for these guys, but you know me. It's okay though. I want to talk about.
We can talk about this if you
No,
want.
no.
This is a topic.
It's not about me. It's not about me.
Let me push it. This is a topic that you keep pushing on your very many episodes, right?
Yeah.
Like what has happened. So some years ago, long before like I was considered to be like an established, reputable big promoter, Benji from Triple K came to me. I was at Trini Jungle Juice Arrival.
That's Benji from he's out of the VI.
Dominica.
Dominic, but he lives in VI, no?
No, Dominica.
Oh, somebody else. Okay.
Born and raised in Fokole, Dominica.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, Benji, we were at Trini Jungle Juice Arrivals. This is back when Trini Jungle Juice was at in Coral Gables. This is a long time ago.
Okay.
He's like, boy, I hear you are the one I have to talk to, to be on these shows here. And I said, no, not really. Like, it's not me to put you on, The fans have to tell me to drag you on this stage, find you and bring you here. And today this is something that me and Benji were talking about. He's like, bro, you were absolutely right. I needed to just find my footing, find my lane, find my passionate audience that is demanding that you put me here. So like someone else, by the time that happened, they were already on a wave. Like it is not the promoter's job to create the wave for the artist. The artists have to create their wave, and it's the promoter's job to enrich the artist and continue to propel them to make more waves.
Okay.
That's kind of where that is.
Okay. So you're saying that I ain't create no wave for me, and so you ain't got no time for me.
Splash.
I get it.
Splash.
I get it. Splash. Dang. You see, I made a splash, but now a wave. Listen. So let's stay there. Right? Let's stay there, Dev. What are artists not doing? Right? Outside of what we just, or inclusive of what we just
Yes.
spoke about, right?
Yes, yes.
Creating this wave. What are artists not doing that's going to help them get the booking from Radiance or Radiance like, right? And to become the artist that they want to be.
Yes.
Right? I want to caveat that by saying that there's some of the men had to eat. Right?
Yeah.
Men have and people laugh and say you're lying about men offering you a bottle of Johnny Walker for your time or $100, $200, whatever the case is. And Clem sat right here and said, and big up to Clem, he's my friend, but Clem said, you ain't worth that money. Yeah, I want some. Right? Like, is that fair? What needs to happen here?
All right, so let's look at the very clear example that happened recently too. Like Vybz Kartel. Vybz Kartel come out of prison, and recently it was revealed because of this show that went very south, Vybz Kartel was making north of $1 million for his performance. People vex about that. Why can't I get this? Can you sell the tickets? Vybz Kartel's show is a very profitable show. Vybz Kartel has sold out arenas across the planet. You can see it with your eyes. Who else is doing that? So, yes, his price is expensive, but the promoter is 2, 3, 4xing his money. I don't know how many promoters are making 400% return on profits for one of their shows right now. Vybz Kartel has the power to do that. Right? So when we're looking at like how the pricing and so on is going, that's a major part of it. Like let that sink in. Like Vybz Kartel is an economic driver.
All right, but I ask you what. So, from your standpoint, what are our artists doing that doesn't even equate to a 10% of that?
Right. So here's what I think. I think that we are trying to evolve, and we're all trying to figure it out. Like even like let's look at Radiance. Radiance is perceived as like a successful organization that puts together events. People enjoy coming to see them, etc. Right? Like what makes these things different? It's just trial and error. We just were trying something, failing. There's no school for this. There's no like Gregory used to joke like Gen X was a school for promotion. Like I learned a lot from Gregory, but you can see that we went in two completely different kind of directions. Like there's an evolution from there, but we had to learn that on our own. A lot of these artists, like Sizwe C, for example, had to learn everything that he knows from. He had to learn how to sing. He had to learn how to pitch. He had to learn how to vocalize. He had to learn how to mix, master, produce. He had to find somebody to do that for him. He had to get somebody to take pictures for him. He had to find somebody to style his hair. He had to find somebody to dress him. He had to dress himself. He had to take his own money and go and do this. And like, there was no guidance in that path. There still is not really. Like, what we need is some kind of a music label. Like, you look at an artist like Voice. Like, who's helping Voice? Voice has built his team. You look at Patrice Roberts. I don't know if you saw recently, Marshall did that like 3-hour interview.
I didn't see it all, but I did see some.
Yeah. So I haven't finished it either, but it was an incredible piece of work. And I think Marshall Montano is a tremendous artist who will be celebrated for decades. Like he will continue, his music will transcend time. Like he has catalog and hits. And I think, I fundamentally disagree with Marshall when he said that he chose to kind of break up his band and start his own thing to focus on himself. And maybe like that's what he needed to do at the time. But can you imagine a world where instead of doing that, Marshall Montano formed some kind of like a music label and like really pushed all these people to go up and climb together? So instead of like joining Atlantic, if Marshall had created Monk music back then, like Marshall is doing Monk music now, but is it too late? Like, because everybody, like Hoppy said, like the music, the people who are hot are aging out. Like we still need the young generation to come up to support the culture and push the vibes forward. I think if we had a label that was doing kind of all of these things and artists had healthcare benefits, like this is what's missing. We need
Happy
some.
said keep it day job, bro.
You know, I've been doing this full time for a few years now. I wasn't always doing this full time. This was started off being a hobby, and you know, a lot of times I wonder like, what are we doing this for? Like, the crab barrel, the fight down, the this, the that. Like, you know, like it's real. It's real. You can feel it in your stomach. It's like you said. This is whack. You have this urge, this zeal to push the culture forward, but there's a lot of things planting seeds of doubt in your mind. Even though you push it forward, like you could sit here and say like, and you know, celebrate what I'm doing, and at the same time, I'm still telling you like, oh, it's the grass is not as green over here as it might look. I have my struggles just like everybody else. And like it would be cool if we were like building something really epic. Like we had a Microsoft here, we had a Google over here, we have a Facebook over there, and like we elbowing each other, but we making billions and we on our yachts, but we're not.
But again, Happy said keep it day job, right? And I felt like that was one of the most saddest things he could have said, right? Understanding that I had to keep my day job, and I still have my day job, right? You know, and I'm one of the artists one of the many who, you know, might not necessarily be good enough or the greatest or whatever the case is, whatever it was, right? But recognizing that, damn right, I had to keep my day job, you know? And unfortunately, how do you tell an artist who's been singing for 20 years that they got to keep their day job, right? Trying to make their mark, you know? And like, that shouldn't be the norm. It shouldn't be okay. Like
It shouldn't, but we should be able to have more one-hit wonders. Look at this girl that came out of South Africa recently, Tyler. She came out with that Water song. And that song is huge, huge. Like, she could have easily been a one-hit wonder with that song. But she got picked up by a label. They nurtured her. They fed her. They put the tools around her to make her successful. Now, she's dropping bangers. She has a song, If You Love Me, Put Me in Chanel. That song is playing. It's so ironic. I'm seeing that song being used by influencers to model clothes that are not Chanel. Like, it's just like that trendy. Right? You know what I mean? Like, that is an example of what can happen if you have the right tools at your disposal, if you can be put in the right situation. That girl, Tyler, is brand new. She's been around for what? A handful of years? She's richer than the entire Caribbean artist guild.
Yeah.
Soca Mafia, period.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
You know, we had a huge song come out of Miami recently. Dancehall. Shake It to the Max. Big up Silent Addy. Big up Disco Neil. Big up the whole Bashment crew. And these guys been putting in the work. They've been collaborating across different genres. And, you know, I remember the first time Addy sent me the little dance that Molly was doing. I didn't know who she was. And I didn't really particularly like. I said, bro, I posted it. And I was in Trinidad for Carnival at Last Jam, Tribe Last Jam. And one of the DJs said, hey, this is one of the last songs for tonight, but we're going to start cheating. And he just plays Shake It to the Max. And imagine you in Trinidad for Carnival where you're in the soca switch still, where dancehall not supposed to play. And Shake It to the Max playing. And not only is it playing, people are bubbling to it. And they start doing the dance to it. I'm like, we are still in Trinidad. This is wild. From there, I sent Adi this video like, yo, this song, go on. The song was Grammy nominated this year.
Yeah. Big up to Addy.
Big up.
Dev,
Label.
Okay.
To add to that point, what he's saying is that a crew of people, voice have a crew. A lot of artists are trying to do it by themselves and not coming together and building their DJ, their mic man, their videographer, their crew. Voice became very successful because he built a crew. There's a lot of artists by themselves trying to push their single by themselves.
Yeah, when you look at Voices, like the Vibes of Voice crew, big up Travis, Penny,
Right. And it's
Salty.
also what Dev said. He's saying label, but he's basically saying label has a team of people. As an artist,
Not just that, label have a team that know what they're doing.
with
They're
resources,
not guessing. They have it figured.
with resources, and everyone is helping.
You know what else was where this kind of epiphany happened for me? I was watching the 50 Cent P. Diddy documentary on Netflix, which is damning, right? But like, They're talking about like murder being committed and all these things and all these accusations on P. Diddy that we kind of have been hearing mumbles and grumbles about. So none of that was surprising to me. But if you watch that back with a different lens, you will hear them talking about the building of an empire, how they built the money, how they positioned themselves, how they had the conversations, how they were being seen by millions of people. Not many soca or Caribbean music artists are being seen by millions of people. There's a few that have a few million views.
Yeah.
But even if you watch something like that same family song, Marshall Have, I watched it recently, Marshall Bungie, Skinny. I think it's like 21 million views. It's a lot of views, right, to us. But you look at something like what like Drake and them doing is billions of views, that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're talking about economic multipliers.
Yeah. But that also speaks to this unity within the culture, within the genre,
Crab barrel.
right? I don't know. I don't like that, right? But I think it's important that we localize and say, all right, this is our thing, regardless of where it's from, where it is, Dominica, St. Lucia, Trinidad, right? Presenting it to the world, unless like compa or like salsa, we're just okay with it being this local thing, right? If you like, because Haitian people, at least from what I can see, are not talking about, well, we need to be global, right?
Bro, let me tell you
It's
something.
just what it is, and like Hoppy said, the world has come to them, right? Going to the world is not in the cards.
They have something that we don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple. Population. They have massive population. I was listening to just tonight. You should check it out. Trevor Noah did an interview with Mia Motley from Barbados. As you know, she's very eloquent, and she was talking about how the entirety of the Caribbean, except for Haiti, is underpopulated. You look at an island like Singapore, which is roughly the same size as Barbados, just like several million people, and Barbados is just struggling to cross a few 100,000 people. So we have a population problem in the Caribbean, and then we have a brain drain problem, people leaving, etc. Like we're sitting here in Florida, nothing really stopping us from being back home, but we choose to be here for opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? But Haiti is not underpopulated. Haiti is overpopulated. Even though there's massive Haitian exodus where Haitians are going everywhere, there's still shitloads of Haitians in Haiti. There's Haitians everywhere. So just, recently, one of our promoter friends took up a mantle and brought back one of the great Haitian bands that broke up, Carry Me. Carry Me broke up. J Upscale, big up J Upscale, brought them back together. And they've been touring. And this Haitian band is now selling out arenas and stadiums all over the world. They've done Paris, France. They've done New York City a couple of times. They did it right here in Florida. Right? Marshall himself has only ever been able to fill up an arena once with the same big up J Upscale. So if there was more times that it could be done, Jay would have done it. Just didn't have the steam. We have to come together.
We have to come together. I agree. Yo, Dev, Radiance. I think this was a good conversation, brother. I appreciate you. I think there's more to talk about here, right? And I would like to be a conduit to bring in community leaders, no matter where they are, to have this same conversation, right? This unification conversation, right? Because I'm a big proponent of the culture, and I think that this is part of the reason why I have the show is because there's something in me that wants to position or push the music, the culture, the art, the pan, the everything in a place where it can be recognized globally, right? Because
Packaging.
I'm sorry?
Packaging.
Yeah, because what we have is for lack of better words, dope. It is the world. You understand? At least as I see it, right? And so I just think that more of these conversations need to happen. I'm glad that you came, and I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing, right? And so on behalf of what they do, I think we appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing more from Radiance, especially as it relates to the Miami diaspora and doing things to help develop or bring back what it is that we once had here, right? Because I think that it's quickly moving in a direction that, like the dinosaurs, is going to be extinct. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, with that being said, thank you for coming. Thank you for your contributions, and I look forward to seeing you and other things that you're doing for the culture within this diaspora. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It's been great.
Once again, it's your friend Sizwe, and that was Mr. Radiance himself, also known as Dev, and yeah, man, that was dope. So do remember to like, subscribe, and especially if you like the content. Once again, it's your friend, and this is what they do. What they do.